Hi guys, how you doing? Welcome back to Not of This World, episode 3. We do this weekly now, and we I've spent time over the last week after talking to you guys about our testimonies and about the rapture, and I made the mistake of going on TikTok. I thought we're doing content now. I got to go to the people and find out what people are watching, and I walked into a hornet's nest of realizing that our rapture content could be mistaken as I thought we did a good job of explaining not to trust a date and to just trust in Jesus. But I've just seen the fear and panic in a lot of people who there's so many videos being generated right now that I really want to emphasize that I started this journey looking at rapture content a while back, and I found people talking about it, and I got excited and scared. And same exact scenario as last year is happening this year. There's a date, and everyone's looking to it. They don't know if it's the 23rd or the 24th because of the holidays attached to it in the Jewish religion. When last year, I believe it was September 25th or 24th, I don't remember the exact date anymore, but I literally woke up that day and was waiting to be raptured. And the entire day passed, and I would be lying if I said I wasn't a little bit heartbroken to see that Jesus hadn't come back yet, because all I saw in my world was bad things happening anymore. And that's all I was letting myself see. So over this last year since then, I've started to change the way I see things and started to take a view that I think Jesus wanted us to have, that he talks about in the Bible. I want you to carry on with your everyday duties, which most importantly should be acting like a Christian, displaying those values of a Christian, and going out and finding people to share the gospel with as much as you can. And that's why we're making these videos. Because of that content, I thought it would be a great idea to shift our episode today to being bold for Christ and showing how we believe that Christian men should act. I'm Steve.
I'm Josh. Welcome. Just to add a little more to the rapture stuff that Steve was talking about, I I don't believe that there should be any fear when talking about it. You know, like I mentioned on the last show, it could happen 5 minutes from now. We don't know. It could happen September 23rd, 24th, like all the talk is about. But it might not even happen in our lifetimes. And so living in fear is actually what the devil, what our enemy is trying to do. He's trying to get us to live in fear. And you don't know when you're searching content for this stuff, you don't know who's being influenced by the enemy and making content to purposely scare, to divide, to create anger. There's a lot of people in the comments, if you watch these videos, causing dissension. You know, people are saying that, you know, you're not a Christian because you're choosing a date, or you don't know what you're talking about because this is an actual idiom that Jesus was saying. So Jesus said the date. And really, that's just causing a bunch of infighting, which is always what the enemy is going after. So realistically, all we can do is live each day for Jesus, for God. And, you know, I think it's Romans 14 that talks about doing everything that we do in our life in the Lord. And so what that means is, you know, all the way down to a simple task like taking the garbage out. It means taking it out with the thought of the Lord in your mind. That means doing it right. You know, if I know here at my house, I have to put the recycle bin 4 feet away from the actual trash bin, right, when I take them out. So, you know, doing it for the Lord is making sure I'm getting it 4 feet apart. You know, if I see my neighbor waving and saying hello, just constantly doing things the right way, doing them in a loving and kind way. And if you're doing that, if you're living your life like that, if you're praying, if you're creating a relationship and staying in a relationship with God, with Jesus, there's nothing to fear about the rapture coming. If you're saved, you're saved. Now, the only fear I have when I start thinking about it is all of the people that I know who would not get taken, who would not go up during that rapture. And that's the only scary
Amen.
part to me.
Yep.
But all I can do is face that and try to go out and talk to them and spread the word to them, to hopefully get through, to hopefully, hopefully soften their mind, soften their heart in some way, where a seed can be planted and start to grow, and hope that they can have a relationship with God before it's too late. So with that said, that's really all I wanted to follow up on that topic. But yeah, Steve, I think, has some content ready to go for today. I think he told me we're going to open with kind of a funny clip to lighten things up a little bit and see where that goes. Did you have anything else to say before we wanted to get into the video, Steve?
Oh, let's roll the video.
Okay, here we go.
Blessed are those who virtue signal, for they shall be seen as righteous without actually having to do anything. It totally rocks. Blessed are those who are part of powerful Democrat families, but they will not be prosecuted. Hunter, I'm talking to you. I got you back. Full pardon, buddy. For God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten Son, that whoever believes in him shall not perish, but have eternal life. Or you can believe in Buddha, or Muhammad, or Oprah. You have heard it said, thou shalt not steal. But I say unto you, unless it is merchandise worth more than $949, then go ahead. These companies have insurance, you know. Judge not.
Yes, is there any other context in which you'd like to provide for this command, Lord?
No, it's an absolute. Just no qualifications, no context. Judge not. Ever. Or you believe in Confucius, or Joseph Smith, or L. Ron Hubbard, or Tom Cruise. Wherever two or more are gathered, I am there also. Separated by at least 6 feet for safety. Too close, woman. We're all in this together.
Jesus, will you heal me so I may walk?
No. For that would be ableist. Can't feel that, can you? Larry Baker Addy, Joel Osteen, or those bald fellows that used to come up at the airports and ask for donations. Whatever happened to them? Man does not live by bread alone, but by oatmeal lattes, Beyond Meat, and ethically sourced crickets. Sleep. It's good for the climate, and it's surprisingly tasty.
No, I just had lunch.
Steve,
Okay.
you don't have to play it. I just
Okay.
thought it was funny. Like, I was like, oh, I wonder if he's going to play it all the way to that part. That's satire, obviously, but I thought being bold for Jesus that's kind of a demonstration to me about how I think people perceive how Christians should act today.
Mm,
And I don't think that's being bold for Jesus.
yeah.
It doesn't mean not loving people.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that. But there's a lot of things that people get mad about Christians for what's written in a book that we're supposed to follow that I thought would be a good conversation to have about that being satire. But there's some truth to some of that. You know, jokes always kind of have a stinging truth to it.
Oh, that one felt almost too real for what's actually happening in the world right now.
I do hear there's some churches that I've not been to one before,
Yeah.
but I've heard there's some really, like, they'll just tell you what you want to hear. Jesus loves everything.
Yeah.
Be as you want to be. And that's like what I think when we even had the first start of this conversation about worrying about people are saved or not. That's something I think that you start looking at different religions and things, and you're like, I do believe that Jesus is the way, the truth, and life.
Yeah.
And if you don't have that beliefs core in your core system, like, are you judging other people because they have different beliefs or different ways of living their life?
Yeah. And I mean, you just said the line, Jesus is the way, the truth, and the life. But what line comes after that? Do you know?
Off the top of my head, no.
No one comes to the Father but through me. right? And it's just kind of funny. Yesterday, I saw a video. It was like one of those shorts, and it was this guy talking, and he was saying, everyone has gotten Christianity wrong. Christianity was never meant to be what it is. Jesus didn't mean it as a religion. Jesus didn't mean it that you are supposed to follow him. You're just supposed to be like him. And then he said, you know, the way, the truth, and the life, like he said. And instantly it went through my mind, though. I'm like, yeah, but what's the line after that?
Yeah.
If no one comes to the
That's
Father
fair.
except through me.
Yeah.
So what does that mean? That you have to be in Jesus. You have to be believing in Jesus, that he died for our sins, that he covered us, that he rose back after 3 days, that he rose to life and then ascended to heaven. And the only way to get to the Father is through Jesus, not by showing love, and that is all.
Yeah, how often do we see it in politics or in other parts of life where they'll take a clip of somebody doing something and show you one part
Yeah,
and say, this is what happened.
exactly. They're cherry
you're like,
picking.
Yeah.
And that's exactly, I mean, this video right here, it's exactly what is happening.
Yeah.
Is people are just cherry picking. And it's funny because it starts with the enemy, right? So he takes basically anything, and he takes it and leaves it like 90% true, but then he twists just a little bit.
Yeah.
So that it's easy to say, oh yeah, that makes sense. That's really the way to be.
Yeah.
Jesus didn't mean that we actually have to follow him. We just have to love people.
Yeah.
And that kind of defeats the purpose, because there's a spiritual battle going on that God had a plan for, and we have to live through that spiritual battle in order for God to win in the end, which we know he does.
Yeah.
But if people don't live that way, if people don't follow Jesus, if people don't believe in what he did and why he did it, then it defeats the whole purpose.
100%. Can I see my laptop real quick?
Yeah.
All right. I was going to say, I think it's a beautiful thing that we edited out of part one that didn't make it because we didn't get the recording of it.
Uh-huh.
I want to get another video ready for you. If you can tell the story about how we met one more time in the details of how it's a small world that we met. And I do think it's God's plan for us
Okay.
to share in the details about my best friend being friends with you and how it all worked out where, I know the Marine Corps is not, I'm wearing my Marine Corps hat today.
Mhm.
I'm proud to be a Marine. It's not my identity. But there's something special about meeting a group of guys that you basically can't hide anything from, except for where you came from. Your past you can hide from people, except for when you find out that you have no mutual people from home, and your past is going to be on the line. So you can either be the kind of person who embellishes who you are, which we met some people in the Marine Corps that I think did embellish a little bit.
Yeah.
And we met some dudes that were really genuinely good dudes that are friends for life.
Yeah.
And so if you share that story, I want to get the next video ready. And
Yeah. Well, you're getting that ready. So when we were young, we were in the Marines, and I was already with my platoon, and we got some new guys all of a sudden. And I go down to meet him, and I go in one of the rooms in the barracks and start talking to him. And it turned out that he was from Arizona, from the Phoenix area, and I had lived in Tucson for a couple years prior to joining the Marines. And we start talking, and somehow Steve was like, oh, so what high school did you go to? And I told him what high school I went to. And he's like, do you happen to know so-and-so? And I'm like, actually, yeah, he's one of my good friends. And it just was pretty funny. It turned out that Steve's best friend up in the Phoenix area had, his cousin was one of my really good friends down in Tucson. And so we just had that instant connection. And like Steve said, it just seems like a lot of times in life, God puts people into your life for a reason. And it's like when God's involved, there are no coincidences. So at the time, yes, it was a coincidence in our mind, but now knowing each other 25 years later, still friends, still in communication all the time, doing this now. It's just kind of funny that how it started like that.
absolutely. The next clip that I got ready for you
Yeah.
is from the Sean Ryan show. Sean, we talked about Sean Ryan a little bit before we got on air, and me and Josh kind of have different opinions about his show. And I was sharing with Josh that this was one of the episodes. He put it out on Christmas, and it's a former Navy SEAL. His name's Eddie Penny. Very, very powerful episode. I watched that episode when I was going through some hard times, and mentally, mostly. And it was pretty powerful to listen to all the carnage and damage he went through fighting overseas. Me and Josh got out. I think I shared in our last story. There's some things that we just didn't have to go to war. We got really lucky. And he shares his stories of when he went overseas. And he came back, and you get trained by the military, right? And you train every single day. Your body's in peak shape. You rehearse things so frequently, and you're told what to do, and you do it instantaneously. It makes for a well-oiled machine.
Yeah.
And when you get out of the military, there's some guys that can't leave it behind.
Yeah.
They literally have to operate their lives like that to have anything make sense.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think we were cut in that same cloth. I think we moved on, but we took lessons and applied things in our daily life. So for during my hard time, when I started seeing things were going bad for me, you've been suggested David Goggins' book before.
Yeah.
And you were like, I'm good. I read it and I sucked. I was like, this is so good.
Yeah.
But it's not faith-based. It's basically believing in yourself and not giving basically not giving excuses. Well, this gentleman, Eddie Penny, he I suggest anyone go back and watch this about it. The point I'm trying to make in this next part is talking about how you can find your identity in things and being strong for Christ. I think you can go out and be a Navy SEAL your entire life and have all these things happen, but life is going to get you to a point where you can't handle things.
Yeah.
And I'd like to discuss after we're done about what that looks like after you accept Christ and how it starts shifting you and how being bold for Christ can help you change your life.
Yeah. Also, I just want to throw out to you that I don't dislike Sean Ryan. I've listened to a few of his podcasts. I think he's a really cool guy, has a lot of good stuff to say. I just typically don't have 3, 4, 5 hours to sit and watch. And so it's like, okay, I just really can't commit to that. So
that might be the best part about this clip.
Yeah.
You get to watch a little clip of something because I have a feeling you're going to watch a few more Sean Ryan clips in the future. So
okay, yeah. I'll look at his clips any day.
I don't know why I wanted someone to pray for me. All that crap. Never thought I could be forgiven.
Actually, really quick before we go further, where is he at right now? Leading up to him right here saying, I wanted someone to pray for me. Do you remember? He's just kind of going through a tough time. And
I believe he had just gotten to a conference.
Okay.
Where I'm going to lead into that next in our conversation.
Okay. Cool. I'll go back to the video then.
Okay.
Cool.
Forgive of your sins. I'm like, man, I've killed more people. I've done things that most people don't even dream of, think of, can't even concoct in their brain. I've done it. From booze to women to pills to killing. Gun, knives, grenades, explosives. Nothing. Anything and everything. All of it. There's no way. There's no way you can forgive me. And I wanted someone to pray for me. And the last night of this thing, nothing's happening to me, really. I mean, a little bit of something, but nothing monumental. At the end of the conference, they have the bonfire, and they give you this little Post-it note. Hey, the things that you want to get rid of, write down what you want to get rid of. And I was like, this Post-it ain't gonna do it. I need a legal pad with 100 pages. So I'm like, give me some more of those Post-its. So I'm putting down, I wanted my drinking to go away.
Really quick, I just want to, that's funny. That's like the Emerge conference that we've been to, but we had the big 2x4s that you had to carry around, and you write all of the things that you want to get rid of, and then you throw that into the fire at the end of the conference. So just funny. He's clearly at a Christian conference of some sort, and they're having him write on a notepad what they're going to get rid of. But it's just funny that he said, I need something bigger. And
Yeah, I will
just-
add for context to the show, because we go right into the part where he's changing something about himself, but he had just gotten in a fight with his girlfriend at the time. And because you're not going to see the clip, it's going to end before it. It's kind of humorous.
Okay.
I'm paraphrasing for what I remember, but he basically went to a company party for his girlfriend's brother, who owns the company that she works for. He got wasted, and at one point she was kind of telling him he needs to slow down, and he threatened her to peel her face off with his knife.
Ugh.
And the next day she said, I will stay with you if you go to this conference.
Okay.
And
that's the only reason he's there?
He doesn't know that's a Christian conference.
Okay.
So he gets there, and you're missing the parts where he's putting in context. He doesn't want to be there.
Okay.
He thinks every dude there is weak.
Okay.
He thinks everyone's soft.
Okay.
He doesn't want to be there. There's no beer there. There's no drugs there. He's like, I don't even know how I'm going to get through the next 2 days. And the part you're watching is fast forward. It's kind of humorous because his girlfriend breaks up with him when he gets back. She said, I have zero intention
After he goes.
of staying with you.
She just wanted him to
You
go?
just needed some Jesus in your
Oh,
life.
that is awesome.
But
That's
playing,
awesome.
and you're going to find out how things
So
work.
what a godsend though.
Yeah.
I wanted my anger to go away. I wanted direction on how to be a good father. I didn't want to be a slave to watching porn on the freaking internet. I wanted to be there for my family. I didn't want to be absent. I wanted peace in my brain from the stuff that we went through overseas. I wanted clarity on my future. I just want to be a better man. I'd be happy with that. And, you get around you get a bunch of these dudes around the fire, you got your little piece of paper, and everyone goes around, which I didn't know, and you say what you want to get rid of. You don't have to. But, about halfway through, I got up and, I said my thing, and I got choked up. I got really choked up, and I threw it in the fire. And it felt good. It felt good. And I'm like, it's still in my head. I'm just like, this is stupid. It's a piece of paper, blah, blah, blah. Nothing's going to change. Questioning everything, testing everything, not believing anything. But there was still just something tugging on my heart. There was just something very small, just tugging on me. Enough to keep me engaged. And I was walking away from the fire when everyone went. And I was like, all right, I'm going to get out of here. I just want to be alone and just go do something, go to bed, whatever. I had no Mucinex, had no alcohol. How do I do this? And this guy comes up to me, young guy. I think I was 32 when this all happened.
Brother, I just want to stop and it's kind of funny that tugging he's talking about, right?
Mhm.
I think that's something that every single person who has been away from God or maybe didn't grow up with God at all.
Yeah.
And then right before coming back to God, it's just that little bit of tugging.
Yeah.
It's God pulling on you.
Yeah.
I'm here.
I'm
here.
I'm gonna be off camera when we're doing this. I know you're paying attention to the video, but I'm listening, and I'm like, it's making me feel something, because I remember where I was at in this moment, and I told you I was trying to find my identity back in the military a little bit, because I'm like, I'm strong.
Yeah.
I've done hard things. I can get through this life, but I wasn't in the moment of using God. As my source.
Yeah.
It's like every time I think I could do it on my own, it's just broken me down to the point where God's like, dude, I need you to be with me.
We have no strength in ourselves.
Right. Just you're gonna be flawed. No matter what you do, you can, unless you keep yourself so closed off and safe, you're never gonna live a good life either.
Yeah.
Happened. He was 26. His name, Kyle Thompson. He actually has a podcast, Undaunted. And he came up to me. He's like, hey, dude, that was really cool what you said. I was like, thanks, dude. And he's like, do you mind if I pray for you? This dude came up to me. I was probably 230, tattoos. I was a big boy. He was not. he was younger, and he had the balls to come up and do that. And that right there is obedience. I've seen many a man that you can just see them like they're intimidated just to have a conversation with from one human to another. I'm not just saying me, but with many people, just because of he was in this movie, or he's a UFC fighter, whatever it is. You're still human. I don't care. It doesn't matter. But he did not. He came up and he did that. And as soon as he put his hand on me and started praying, I lost it. It was starting to make sense. It was all making sense to me. And so I talked to him for about an hour, 2 hours. At the end of that night, went to bed. And the next day was Sunday. And we had like they played worship music, but not like kind of like rock, you know. And they played it every day. And it's been like, okay, can we please turn this crap off so we can like get on with this so I can get the heck out of here? For some reason, man, I'll never forget the song. I had to look it up. It was by Matt Redman, 10,000 Reasons. It was playing, and the beat of that song and the words of that song rocked my body. It was different. Something changed. Something changed internally. I would say I don't know how, but I do know how. It just changed. And I felt different. And I started to smile.
I just wonder, like, how many people have this similar story. Are you done? Are we done with this video?
I think that's a good spot.
Okay,
Yeah.
cool. Let me go ahead and stop that way. I wonder how many people
You want to watch
have.
more?
Well, yeah, it's a good story.
Yeah.
It's taking me back to the first time I went to that Emerge conference. I had recently come back to God, and I went to the conference just invited by a friend and had no idea what I was going into. And I get there and it opened up, you know, people are setting up their campsites. Everyone's just talking, hanging out. That was cool. And then it went into like this big, huge tent with worship music, and I'm watching everybody, and I had never been around this type of stuff. Like I have been to a Lutheran and Catholic church in my life at that point, pretty much. I think I went to one church that had like the rock band, but it wasn't like major. But I'm watching, and everybody's so into it. And at first, I was like very standoffish, and just looking at it like, man, why are these guys all? Some of them have tears in their eyes while they're singing along to these songs, and I'm like, what is going on right now? And then through the course of the next couple days, just the messages, the sermons, and then being in that tent, just feeling the Holy Spirit moving, and then same thing, releasing all of those traumas, those sins that I'd been hanging on to for so long, and putting them onto that wooden stick and burning them and letting it all go, and having prayer with each other and for each other. And it was just the most amazing release. And like, exactly like he said, it's when it all started to click and make sense. And it's amazing. His story, completely different background, what he went through, who he was, completely different than me. And that experience is so similar that it just like took me back. That was cool.
I thought the conference was amazing, and I definitely thought that I didn't want to go with you. Like, you started saying how great it was, and I'm like, yeah, I don't want to go.
Yeah,
I really don't.
yeah.
And it was coming up again, and you said, do you want to go? And our faith journey together was picking up steam. And I knew it would be good for me to go with you.
Mm-hmm.
But I really didn't want to be around a bunch of dudes. I did this in the Marine Corps so much.
Yeah.
And you know, it's a mixed bag sometimes. You go to a Christian event and you might find people who are compatible with you and not compatible with your personality. That's okay.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not trying to judge anybody.
Yeah, for sure.
But sometimes you find some dudes that are some really good. Like, you talked about it last episode. You talked about soul talk. Remember you saying that?
Yeah.
When you're talking about like really
Yeah.
who you are as a person. Yeah,
Yeah.
I had not heard that term. Or maybe I hadn't. I never thought about it, but it really gravitated with me because like sometimes that's what I miss that I see in these podcasts, that people have these really deep conversations.
Yeah.
And people are missing that a lot. But we get to the conference, or before we get to the conference, I literally was trying to figure out a way to not go.
Mm-hmm.
And I was up one night praying, and literally, I don't hear the audible voice of God very often. And it wasn't audible, but it literally was like, go to the conference. I'm like, okay.
Yeah.
And so I committed right that night. It was
I
like
remember you
midnight,
telling
and,
me
and
that,
I know
yeah.
you'd get the message, but you're on silent. So
Yeah.
I text you, I'll go to the conference. And I know if I told you I'll do it, then I'm the kind of person that if I tell you I'm going to do it, I'm going to do it.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, all right.
Now I'm in.
And it led down a path of like wonderful things. I haven't been around a group of dudes who literally put their guard down immediately. Their pride was not important at the
Yeah.
moment.
It's amazing,
It was
right?
really cool to see just the people getting their boards, 2x4 you put on your back, the rope attached to it, and people started writing down things that they eventually want to get rid in their lives. And there was no modesty.
No.
There's some really intense things that as you're walking by and you're smiling and having a
Seeing,
chat with a
reading
dude,
people's boards,
and
right?
you're walking semi together, whatever, and maybe a guy you just had a conversation was walking with somebody else, and you start to see his board. And sometimes it's like sad that you're like, wow, I would never have expected that. Sometimes it's sad in a way that you're like, I wish I could take that from them because they're a really good dude.
Yeah.
But just letting their guards down and being like, come as you are.
Yeah.
It's beautiful.
Yeah. We're all flawed. We're all, we all have our histories. We all have our pasts, but everyone's there for that purpose of moving on from those things. And that was cool in the video when he said like, he felt something change just as he was talking about it, right? When he was getting rid of those things.
Yeah.
And that's what I don't think people realize sometimes is we've all been like, as guys, we've been like brainwashed almost to believe that we have to hold on to all of the things that we deal with, all of the traumas that you've gone through in life, all of the issues that you're going through on a daily basis. And that's the work of the enemy telling you that you have to hold on to that. You have to hold on to that because all that's doing is hardening someone's heart. And a hardened heart is horrible for your health, for your future. And I mean, just speaking those things out, just having that vulnerability allows you to release it. And then it's God that can give the healing from there and can help restore you. But it's just releasing those things, just being there to talk to someone, to have people who aren't going to judge you when you say those things. And it's just so important to have that in life.
Yeah. I've made some friendships there that I've kept up to. Like,
yeah.
It's not like they live in different states and whatnot, but every once in a while I'll get a text saying, hey man, like, thinking about you and praying for you and vice versa. Sometimes I'll do the same thing. And
yeah,
I haven't felt camaraderie like that since the Marine Corps. And even the Marine Corps,
that was what I tried telling you before going.
Yeah,
I'm like,
it's a beautiful thing because in the Marine Corps, we look back on it and we talk about all the good times.
mm-hmm.
And I think that's how life is too. You highlight the good points and then the bad parts become funny.
Yeah.
But when you're doing it with a group, when you struggle through something alone and you don't talk to other people, it's misery.
Yeah.
But when you do it as a group, you come out of it and go, remember that time that was so terrible? I mean,
dude,
laugh.
Most of the memories from the Marines are just like the time that all this was breaking or the time we're out doing whatever in the rain and you remember this.
And someone goes, it couldn't get any worse. And then it starts to rain.
And then it actually gets worse.
Yeah.
And those are like a lot of the memories from that time, but it's because you're going through it with brothers.
Do you remember, and I don't remember the op we were on, or it was on Camp Pendleton,
mm-hmm.
and it was wintertime, and they had us sleeping on the beach.
Okay.
And it was
kind of remembering
freaking
this. Yeah.
freezing.
Yeah.
And I remember, I don't know if it was you that woke me up or someone else in my squad, but literally they were waking up, hey, we're going to do this thing, and it was work. Whatever it was, I knew it wasn't going to be fun.
Okay.
I thought.
Yeah.
And they're like, do you want to go with us? And I'm like, I'm in my sleeping bag. I'm warm.
Yeah.
I'm content.
No, thank you.
No, I'm good. And they're like, all right. They took off without me. Wake up in the morning on the beach, freezing still, doing whatever operation we're doing, which we're praying for the sun to come up.
Yeah.
Just watching the sunrise, like, and you see it peeking out, you're like, and it's starting to get colder, which they always say it's always the dark, it's always the coldest before the sun comes up.
Yep.
And we get to the guys that I asked me if I wanted to go. They went back to sleep indoors, and they had like warm meals and these things. And I'm like, I missed out on that.
Like I could have had that.
So you never know, these things like these stories where you're like, it couldn't get any worse. And like, then God's in that way. He's like, hey, I threw you a lifeline, and you don't see it sometimes until you get back to it. You're like, that was God trying to save me in that moment.
Yeah.
And you don't see it. So
you weren't obedient, Steve.
Right.
Okay.
That one thing that was cool about the conference is the next video I wanted to show you.
Mm-hmm.
It was Victor Marx, which
it was awesome.
You had told me about Rex Crane,
yeah,
and how much you really enjoyed seeing him, and I also thought he was amazing. You had built him up so much, and I had actually watched Victor Marx on Sean Ryan,
okay,
and I didn't even know it until we got back.
Oh, really? So you had already seen him before?
And I was really moved by what Rex Crane was doing for different reasons. With some of the guys that we had met there, and you walked away and you're like, I like Victor Marx, and I liked it. It was hard to pick one person.
Yeah,
that you
there were
liked.
so many good speakers at it.
Great, yeah, and but Victor Marx stood out, and I actually plugged in another video for us to watch with Victor Marx in it when you're ready.
Yeah, dude. I left that conference, and it's funny because I don't often like look up to another man,
Right.
But it was one of those, just listening to his story, listening to everything. It was like, I want to be like him when I grow up. And then you forget you're grown up.
Did you get his book?
No.
I'll just borrow it.
Okay.
I think I told you I was going to. I have another friend borrowing it.
Yeah.
That was in the military and stuff, and it's been
I'd love to read
interesting
it.
how you. There's a guy named Jamie Walden that he's a former Marine.
Yeah,
He's a pastor.
Yeah, you've sent me
And
some.
I have a book that I have of his, and his is very military-esque, godlike.
Okay.
For the guys that are military guys, I highly suggest it, called Omega Dynamics. If you watch his sermons online and you don't like the way he preaches, you're not gonna like the book. My buddy that's reading it right now is like, yeah, I don't get it. I don't get how he's like, but if you watch him, his book's the way he talks.
Okay.
But Victor Marx also, his book is kind of the same way too.
Which, awesome.
Yeah, he down to earth, really lovable guy. But I have the video ready. He lives. He marches to the beat of his own drum.
Yeah,
and he definitely isn't saying he's soft. And he'll go through some of his impressive, the pedigree of things he's learned over the years and who he's become. I think it's really valuable to see the things he's overcome. He had a really hard life.
Yeah.
I don't think it's gonna touch everything in this video.
Okay.
But when you hear his testimony, it's powerful. Is there anything else you wanted to add about Victor Marx in the conference about Emerge? Because the point is basically meeting strong men. Because that what stood out to me about Emerge was the character of the men that we were going to meet.
Yeah.
And even more impressive to me was that a lot of these men we all had the same story. We lived with our parents. They made us go to church.
Mm-hmm.
We found our faith at church, but we never really put it into place.
Mm-hmm.
We went out into the world, faced the world chewed us up, spit us back out, and we went back to God.
Yeah.
And these guys all had different stories, and the boards represented that story. And it wasn't over yet. It was like, just because you found Jesus didn't mean everything's okay.
Yeah.
It means you're not alone. And then God, leads you to other people who are fellow Christians. That's what this podcast is supposed to be about, is helping people find Jesus and then knowing you're not alone.
Yeah. Yeah. So we're going to start this. Here we go.
What's the first memory that you have?
There's two. One, a German Shepherd tied up to a swing set that was a mean dog trying to bite kids, and thanking God there was a chain. And the other one was me being tied to a bed as a kid by one of my arms. And then, the abuse that came after that. I'm a middle child. So, I used humor as a coping mechanism to defuse what's the next drama. Try to use humor to kind of get things to calm down. So those early years between 3 and 7 was when the worst abuse and the professionals call it torture. Happened to me as a kid. And so whether it was being dunked in a tub till I passed out or being electrocuted, it was all very intentional. I thank God that He kept me alive to be able to not only tell my story in a way that's redemptive, but give other people hope, including children, both here in the U.S. and around the world. My biological dad had left us before I was born.
What he was going
I think
through
I
as a
did.
child, right? And oftentimes I'll hear people say, like, why does God allow that to happen? If there was a God, why would He allow a child to go through that pain? But the thing people don't understand is there's a God, but there's a devil. And the devil fell. Lucifer fell from heaven as a fallen angel and is down here, and he's running an entire legion of demons. And God gave us free will, and that was a gift to us. But because of free will, and because there are demons all around, demonic forces all around, bad things are going to happen. But I mean, we'll keep watching this video. But
to your point,
Yeah.
you're talking about men who are glorified through God.
Yeah.
And you think of the story of David.
Yeah.
And we talked about different parts of the Bible when we were learning. I never realized growing up the story of David and Goliath was the same David later on in the Bible. Or I didn't know what happened with him, right?
okay.
So
I mean, you didn't realize David and Goliath was King David later?
100%.
Okay.
There's so many people that reoccur with names. I never associated the two. I just thought this kid killed the giant, right?
Yeah.
So anyone who's not read the Bible before, it's pretty exciting. There's a show called House of David on Amazon Prime, and essentially some people were messing with God's people, and they had a giant we call him Nephilim, and David slayed the giant. Like basically, it's a great feat in the Bible. But as you fast forward, David went on to do great things, but he also was a fallen, broken man too, who did some bad things too.
One really horrible thing.
100%. And read the Bible, you'll find out what he did. It's not good.
Yeah.
And if God can work through that brokenness by following Him, I think Victor Marx is a clear-cut example of like you get through some broken things, and God will use you for great things.
Yeah.
14 schools and lived in 17 houses. So moving was just a normal thing for us. I mean, I know all things work together for good to those who love Christ. And I wasn't in love with Him yet, so I couldn't understand really how this was going to be beneficial yet. It's hard when you move somewhere, when kids have been raised together and you're the new guy. So I started drinking and doing drugs again. I had stopped, but I started again. And, it was just leading me down a path of emptiness. I remember I did it not to kind of be cool or fit in. I actually did it because I was hurting a lot. I didn't want to remember. But, it's the problem with drugs. And alcohol, they're good for the moment. They are, or people wouldn't do it. The problem is it just complicates things. I mean, from a young child, I always believed in Jesus. We're born Catholic, raised Baptist, did Pentecostal stuff for a while, charismatic. I knew about Jesus, always believed in God. God to me, though, was a very distant taskmaster, because people refer to Him as God the Father, which is offensive because I was like, well, fathers I've known are absent, angry, drunkards, violent, abusive. So I couldn't really relate to God, didn't necessarily want to, but His Son Jesus, all the Sunday school stories I heard were great. I mean, He loved the little children. I don't know, he did supernatural things. I realized He had to be alive one night, and it was, I think it was around 10 years old. Our stepfather, the one that was most abusive, he'd come home drunk, came into the house, had his gun out, and he started shooting lights on the outside of the house. So my mother took us and the kids, we ran and hid in a closet, and he came back to that back room and said, come out or I'm coming in. And my mother started praying in Jesus' name. She said, the blood of Jesus covers the door. The blood of Jesus covers the door. And I was thinking, Mom, Jesus is a nice guy, but you know, he's not the. We need somebody strong. We need like a Rambo Jesus, right? Not this, you know, kind, compassionate. He's not going to stop that evil man. But that was the night I realized Jesus Christ is extremely powerful. And our stepfather couldn't come into the room with an open door. Physically, he was restrained. The only way to say it is that the prayer worked. And then he went and passed out in his bedroom, and we escaped that night through a window. In that room, never came back. I would get
say it's amazing when you hear stories like that. Just, I don't know how people can't believe. There's just so many stories of miraculous things happening. Mm-hmm. Like he talked about that prayer mm-hmm. and his mom having him do that, and it worked.
Yeah.
This abusive monster was somehow held back.
Yeah.
That night. He was not able to go attack them and hurt them. And it just, I don't know. When I hear stuff like that, it's always like, how are ears closed? How are eyes closed? How do people not see it?
Yeah. I think also, and to point on what you're talking about, like, I think you're one of the first people I met as I got to know you, that your childhood was rougher than mine. And I was like, but you're resilient. And you had a great personality, and you didn't blame the world for all your problems. And I definitely gravitated towards you for multiple reasons. That was one of them, because I'm like, I had some stuff that I could complain about, and I'm listening to a story, and like, he can beat out, if you read his book and listen to everything he has to share, not many people can beat his story about what he went through.
I think that's why I resonated with him so much at the conference, just hearing his story. I mean, there's a little more detail in this right now than what he gave talking at the conference, but it just resonated with me like, man, you know, I thought I had some tough stuff happen in my childhood, but this guy, wow, like the fact that he's a good person, a wonderful person, that he's doing amazing things in the world, that he wasn't held down, that he didn't, you know, fall apart, that can only be God.
Yeah.
And it's just amazing. Like I was saying a little bit ago about the devil's around us, and he's the one making the bad things happen, but redemption and healing is found through God.
Yeah. I chose that video over a different video. It's a little bit shorter, but the video that I didn't choose has a part where he talks about a girl who becomes possessed. I think he might talk about the conference.
Yeah.
Like that.
Oh yeah.
And so when you're talking about these things, he was sharing that. He's like, if you don't believe the devil's real, you're fooling yourself.
Yeah.
And it's like this thing where, you know, you get in the wrong church and it's all prosperity and happiness and God's going to give you whatever you need. And that's what the devil wants you to believe. Like, he's like, okay, yeah, take it. Go.
Yeah.
And you'll see how it works.
Out of the Marines in 1986 at the end. But at that point, I had tried everything. I was doing everything this world told me I had to do. Fight, drink, chase skirt. But I was still very empty. And at that point, you know, it seems like everything that was planted in me, these seeds of God and Christ and salvation and hope, you know, it made me start saying I should probably work on my spiritual part, because I knew as a person I was a physical being, spiritual and mental, right? To try to figure out myself, my identity as a man. And yet I was really unfulfilled and empty. I get a snail mail from my biological dad. I still have the letter today. He addressed the letter to me as dear son, and it made me mad. I mean, I'll never forget opening, dear son. I thought, son, you got my mom pregnant, and you've never been a dad to me. Don't call me son. I remember being so offended. And then he apologized for not being a dad. In so many words, I was like, all right. And then he said, I know you think I'm crazy. And I'm thinking, yes, you are. And he went on to say, I'm crazy, but this time for Jesus Christ. And I went, wow. And even though the letter was pretty convincing, I still was Like, what is his angle? Why is he trying to, what does he need from me? And he asked me, hey, would you come down and visit me? So I took leave of absence from the Marine Corps, went down, back to Louisiana. There was something different about him. I remember thinking, there's a niceness to you that versus just this raw guy. He asked me, you know, would you want to go to church? Went to church, and it was the worship music, I think, that got me the most. Listening to people worship God, and then hearing how much God loved me. Christ's death on the cross was specifically for me. And the thing that I struggled with, as much as I hated other people, and I let my heart turn hard, I realized, man, I've done wrong. I was ready to be forgiven and to surrender my life for a greater purpose than anything I could ever think of. It wasn't until that summer, 1986, of my biological dad, me seeing a visible change in this man's life. Something was different. Him inviting me to church and me hearing just good worship music and a simple message. That's when the change happened. That was my day that I actually believe I became a man.
He told a story at the conference about his stepdad that raised him. You remember having to go, and he felt that God was telling him he had to go tell him that he loves him, and it was on his deathbed.
Mm-hmm.
And that was such an amazing story. Yeah, I'm glad you showed that video. If for anything else, that if you have not heard of Victor Marx, go look him up. The guy is really cool. He now owns a business where they go around saving abducted children, and that's what he spends his life doing now as a pastor. He gives, he preaches, but he also saves abducted children, and is literally doing about as good of work in the world as you can possibly do. And to know what he was raised in, what he came up in, the amount of abuse, the amount of trauma that someone could go through, to be healed to the level that he has, to do the good work that he's doing in the world, it's just beyond impressive. And he'd say the same thing, but the credit goes to God.
Absolutely. I think one thing that stands out, the Victor Marx part of the conference that we went to stood out. And I remember looking for, I came with a purpose. Like, I knew God wanted me to be there.
Mm-hmm.
So I was like having my heart open, and you walk in, and there's a theme every year. And as you walk in, there's a banner that says Shepherd, Merge Conference 2025. Whatever, shepherd.
Yeah.
It's pretty common in the Bible.
Yeah.
To refer to Jesus as a shepherd. He wears sheep. And as I'm going through the conference, I'm realizing that sign walking in was my sign. That when we talk about identity, and the things we're talking about right now is things of being a strong Christian man and being bold, being a shepherd. David, that we just referenced, was a shepherd.
Yeah.
And being a shepherd means you love your sheep, you take care of them, and you protect them. So this mixture of those things, you have to be all those things.
Yeah.
As a woman or a man, you have to be able to protect the people you love and be kind and gentle and take care of them. And when it gets lost, you go after them. Got to keep them together.
Yeah.
I just thought it was a beautiful thing.
Yeah. It's funny because when you hear the word shepherd, or at least prior to going to the conference, just, okay, it's a shepherd, someone that walks around with sheep.
Yeah.
But there's so much meaning to it, like you were just saying, that it's pretty cool. I wanted to go back a minute to the guy that was interviewing with Sean Ryan, and Eddie Penny is his name. Just hearing him talk, I have thanked God so many times, but like Steve mentioned, we were in the Marines during a peacetime, and there was a couple close calls, especially 9/11. Right at the end, 9/11, right at the end. But I'm so fortunate and so thankful to God that I did not have to go to war. And a lot of our brothers who were in, for a couple years after us did. And just seeing the trauma in some of them that it's caused, it's horrible. It's horrifying. And I just want to say this to anyone who could like potentially be listening that is prior military, that's been through that you aren't alone in that. You know, God is here for you to release the things that you saw, the things that you possibly took part in, and you can let go of those traumas. You are still loved, and nothing that happened or you were around there's nothing that happened that you can't be forgiven for. So just know that you don't have to go through whatever you're going through alone. You don't have to carry it. You don't have to live with it. You don't have to hold unforgiveness towards yourself or to others. You can be forgiven and you can be healed.
Very well said. Are you looking good on time, my friend? Are you want to get out of here?
Yeah. I think that we got a lot of stuff in today.
Yeah. If you are starting to watch our show and you are enjoying what we're doing, we're figuring things out. I hope you see that we're trying to step up what we're doing. We literally talked about this on a Monday, filmed it on a Thursday, bought more equipment the next week. This is our third week doing it in a row. We're just trying to follow what God's telling us to do. And I hope you are getting something out of it. I hope you feel like you are finding some friends that you're getting close to. If you don't know who God is yet, I hope you keep watching what we're doing and seeing the stories that have changed our lives. And we're showing videotapes. We eventually would love to get other men of God in this room with us and start sharing their stories. Because I think that, as Josh was sharing about veterans who go through hard things, it's not just veterans. The world is a very hard place to live in, especially currently with, I think, screens are stealing people's minds.
Yeah.
And you shared it a few times, I'm sure you'll share it more, that you believe the cell phones are from the devil. And I can't argue that. And I just think that the more we share how to break free from it, because you're going to find people's stories that are truly, Victor Marks might not have a story that we know of.
Yeah.
And that being said, you can see, even though his story is the worst we know of, he still found a way back to live a life of faith that leads to happiness. Mm-hmm. It's not just about, I walk this path and everything's great all the time, but you do find a sense of peace.
Yeah.
That it talks about in the Bible, that it defies all logic, really. Because you can be in the middle of a storm and literally you'll find something that goes, I've got this. I'm not alone.
So. Peace through faith. But so I would not be, I guess, making a video. We probably should have done it at the beginning, but we're new to this. But if you enjoyed what we're doing here, like and subscribe so that it gets out to more viewers. I hear everyone say that on every video I watch, so I figured we should probably throw it in there.
I want to be cheesy and be like, if you like Jesus, subscribe to what we're doing.
Yeah.
And get your notifications from
us. But seriously, though, like it and subscribe, okay? No. Thanks for watching, though. We love you. If there's anything you need particular prayer for, please put it in the comments and we will pray for you. We do pray over the show before going on camera, and we do pray after. So we'll pray for all of you watching. But if you do need anything specifically, please reach out in the comments and we'll pray for you. Thanks for watching.
Love you guys. Bye.